You want to get on the action? We want to hear from you. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com. Slide in our DMs on IG @FadeRoutePodcast. Drop us a DM on Twitter @FadeRouteDNZ. Comment on our YouTube channel, The Fade Route with DNZ. Questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it, we want to hear from you. Get at us, in crowd. Welcome to The Fade Route with D and Z. Here are your hosts, D and Z. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of The Fade Route with D and Z. I am Z, and I'm still processing what the hell we watched last night. It was like the only thing I could compare it to was bum fights, if you're familiar with that.
We go and fight.
We go and fight, and nobody won. Just like in bum fights, everybody, including the audience, lost. And here he is. I've known this guy since our days on Carousel Shoes. The last QB in St. John's history, flight crew through and through. What's up, D? How's it going?
Hey, man, just glad to be here with you. Really glad to talk and discuss the debacle that was last night.
Let's just say we're both doing better than Sam Darnold right now.
I actually felt bad. I felt bad for him last night. You know, he looked like the only one out there that was really trying. His touchdown run was 100% effort. I mean, he gave it everything he had to get to the end zone in that game.
You see runs like that from him, and you see the play calls from Gase, and you wonder why they don't do that more often. But then you see Sam Darnold trip over his own 2 feet and get sacked, and then you're like, that's why they don't do it more often.
I just thought on that play he was gonna go on IR for the rest of the year. He was gonna fall and really hurt himself. How about the Broncos quarterback? He played halfway decent. He played a good half of football. It took the Jets a half to figure out how to trick him and how to get the ball from him.
Absolutely, but he does have the pedigree. He is the nephew of former Super Bowl champion Mark Rippon, and undrafted out of Boise State, third string behind Locke and Driscoll and Bortles. Actually, technically, probably fourth string at that point. For him to come out and have that kind of performance, I mean, all things considered, it was really impressive. I'll give the kid his due, but
he had a lot of records in Boise State too. I think he finished his career there with the most passing yards. I think he was second in touchdowns. I think he's been with them for a while. He might have been practice squad last year.
Yeah, I mean, kid can play. You know, it's a heck of a job on his point, but we came here to bury the Jets, not to really praise the Broncos today.
I found myself while I was watching the game just looking at different position battles, especially on the line of scrimmage. They could not penetrate the Broncos line. They couldn't cover their receivers. The jump ball to Judy, the corner is in perfect position to make a play, and he lets a rookie jump over him, rip it out of his hands, and walk into the end zone for a 46 or 47-yard score.
And they lost Noah Fant last night, too. So that becomes even more important. You know, that's a game that the Jets need to have with a depleted skill position. But Melvin Gordon came up huge for the Broncos, and they just had their way with the Jets' offensive line last night.
I hate to say this, I actually picked the Jets to win the game, and my thought process was, okay, the Broncos have a practice squad quarterback coming in. He's only got 3 days to prepare for this game. I'm sure the defensive coordinator can dial up some blitzes, cause some confusion. Look at all the personal fouls. They had over 160 yards in personal penalties.
Yeah, 6 big ones, and then Quinnen Williams with the face mask, McClendon with the blow to the head. The Broncos were trying to give the Jets the game, and the Jets were like, no,
you can have it. You can have it.
No, we'll send this back. It's not to our liking.
30. I think they put up 37. He was that was the Broncos' final tally. I mean, the Broncos have talent offensively, right? But really, and defensively too. Their defensive line is pretty solid. You just thought that the Jets would have had a game plan to expose a young quarterback, and they would have been able to get the ball downfield and score enough points at home to win. They had Crowder coming back. I didn't expect Frank Gore to have like 100 yards rushing, but I did expect Frank Gore to score. And it just makes them look even worse for letting go of Robbie Anderson, who's like 6th in the league in receiving yards right now.
He is, and it really is an indictment of Joe Douglas and Adam Gase and Greg Williams and everybody on that coaching staff, especially at the end of the game when it just got muddied and it got ugly. And I thought Vic Fangio and Adam Gase were going to throw down. And honestly, that would have been more entertaining than the game.
I think
my money's on Fangio.
Yeah, I think you would have got a nice hook in there. But I think that's why Fangio didn't want to even shake his hand, because he figured, I'm going to punch this guy in the face. Because there was like 3 really bad blows to his quarterback late in the game. It's just like, yo, what are we doing here?
Oh, 100%. And you know what? That might have been called by Greg Williams, but as a head coach, as an administrator, you got to pull your DC to the side and say, knock it off, game's over.
You just wonder at what point, what's going to be the final straw? Like, I saw the press conference after the game where the reporter straight up asked Adam Gase, he's like, listen, it doesn't sound like any of these New York fans want you to be here anymore. Like, what do you have to say to them? And his response was like, oh, we're still trying to make things better. We're still trying to win games. We're still trying to do the best we can. It's just like, at some point, you have, as management, you got to figure, like, this isn't working. Like, he's going to get somebody hurt. And the other thing, Bart Scott was actually funny. I think it was this morning or yesterday morning. He was saying, I wouldn't fire Gase. Leave him in here. He's got to go through this just as much as everybody else does. I thought that was a great answer.
No, it's true. Bart Scott, he's got some gems sometimes. And you know what? If they are tanking for Trevor Lawrence, if you're him, you really got to think about, pulling an Eli Manning or a John Elway.
Or a Peyton Manning, right? Because Peyton Manning, he stayed in college one more year. Out when I think the Jets were the team that had the #1 pick that year.
Yeah, right. And then Peyton Manning, he recommended Adam Gase, so he actually screwed over the Jets twice. But thanks a lot, man. Are you kidding me? But yeah, it's a debacle. It's completely ridiculous.
It's gonna get worse. I don't see where the Jets are gonna get their first win, because I thought last night was a perfect chance for them to get their first win.
Honestly, I'm looking at that schedule, the upcoming schedule, and
where do you see the win, Z? Where do you see the win? I don't see a win here.
In the upcoming schedule, the next 5 weeks, I see them going 0-9. Like I really don't. I mean, the only one I could possibly see is like a gift from Kyler Murray.
Right. I could see. Well, he's polished now. So if I was gonna guess where the gift would be, maybe San Diego. I mean, maybe the Chargers, right? Because they got the rookie quarterback, and Eckler's their receiver. I mean, they're running back. I could see
Keenan Allen, no Joey Bosa.
Right, I can see them winning a close game there, because I think the Cardinals defense is going to eat the Jets alive.
Oh my goodness, yeah, no.
Then they got the Bills. Then they got the Chiefs. Loss. Patriots loss. Dolphins. I don't know. Fitzpatrick plays pretty good. They put up points. They score.
It really, I mean, any of these games, it's just like, it's a reach. It really is a reach for me to say, okay, this is where I see it. And I'm starting to come around with that for the Giants too. But at least the Giants, like, they play with pride. They play with passion. They're not talented, but they're trying.
Yeah. Who did the scheduling here? They got the Dolphins and a bye week, and then the Dolphins again. Who's doing the scheduling? Who's their AD?
I know it's is Appalachian State on the schedule? What's going on?
Oh,
here?
And then
Appalachian State will beat them.
Then they got the Raiders, Seahawks, Rams, Jets. They're gonna win one game, maybe 2 games.
I mean, it's possible they could go 0-16 because we still don't know. I mean, we're only going week to week. We can't see into the future. Who knows? Like Joe Flacco might be like, he sees this coming. I'm not coming off IR.
Joe
No,
Flacco's about to
not.
start coughing and be like, I got COVID. I'm out.
I got the Rona.
I got
exactly.
the Rona. I can't go back in there. He actually, when he came into the game,
is like Mike something.
When he came into the game for Darnold, he actually looked pretty good. He threw some solid passes.
Yeah, I mean, their third stringer is like Mike Moore or something like that. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And they brought that kid in from Florida Atlantic or Florida International, James Morgan. He's hurt. So it's just like, and Sam Darnold is dealing with that AC joint. Who the hell's throwing the ball?
Yeah, I don't.
You're going to get a steady dose of Frank Gore for the year. Those old legs are really going to get a nice little workout.
Actually, Mike Greenberg even said this morning, he was like, if I was Trevor Lawrence, I'd think long and hard about staying if the Jets get the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where the win comes. I don't know how to make this better. I don't know. This isn't we've talked about this the previous weeks. This isn't a 1-year fix. This isn't a 2-year fix. No. This is going to take time. Brashad Perriman's their number 1 receiver. Hasn't been on the. I think he was on the field for 1 game, and even if he was on the field yesterday, it wouldn't have mattered. The 49ers, the 25ers beat them because it wasn't even the 49ers.
The 25. Yeah, Brashad Perriman has 5. I think he has 5 catches or 5 targets. Robbie Anderson is 6th in the league in receiving yards. You think you want that one back?
Herndon was supposed to be this stud tight end. He's dropping passes when nobody's even covering him. He looks slow. It's brutal.
Herndon showed me who he was last year when he got hurt, came back and was overweight and got hurt again. Like Ryan Griffin, like I
like Ryan Griffin actually. I like him.
He's good, but he's not a number 1.
No.
And, maybe they bring back Quincy Enunwa next year. He's, sit out a year, get healthy kind of thing, because they did cut him.
I don't know.
But, they could certainly use Quincy Enunwa even with a friggin' neck brace.
They could have used 5 more guys on offense and defense last night, and it wouldn't have mattered.
And this Mekhi Becton thing, apparently he was playing hurt last night.
He looked hurt. I actually felt bad for him because he did look hurt, and Chubb was abusing him.
Yeah. And if you're the head coach of this team and you realize, hey, we may have something special here, and the kid played like something special before yesterday, we got to hold him out. There's got to be some practice squad player or some reserve on this line that we can plug in, take the night off, and get this kid healthy because his future is bright. And, he's one of the few bright spots on the team.
Yeah, I thought he was a good draft pick. And he was having trouble getting up. He couldn't even get up off the ground a couple times. I saw him when the offense came off the field. He was sitting on the sideline, like rubbing his shoulder. Like that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign.
No.
And for this brilliant offensive mind, who's been outscored by almost 100 points already 4 games into the season. I don't know. But let's move on to basketball because we got the NBA finals are set. We got the LA Lakers taking on really not even the Miami Heat, right? It's the Miami Warm right now because they lost a couple of players in the first game. I think
they're missing Adebayo, they're missing Goran Dragic. They're definitely the lukewarm right now.
Lukewarm. And I just wonder talk a little bit about LeBron's legacy. I mean, I foresee him winning a ring. That's going to be 3. There's going to be 3. It's going to be 4 rings total and 3 with different teams. I don't really know if there's a good comparison for him if he wins this ring. I think in football, you can have Brady and Montana. They're in a class together now. Bill Russell is in his own class in basketball with all the rings he has, and I think this victory will put LeBron in his own class. It'll push him past Kobe for sure. I don't even think you really can compare him to MJ because MJ, had the 6 championships. He never lost in the finals. But with LeBron, 9 finals in 10 years. We will never see this again in our lifetime.
No. He is certain, like the will, You know, we talk about the Mamba mentality all the time and the greatness of Kobe Bryant, but the iron will of LeBron James to put, 14 other guys on his back, including some of the coaches, and saying, let's go, guys. You're going to ride me all the way to at least the finals. Like, that is a great testament to his skill and his greatness. It's really hard to put a player comp because we've never seen anything like this before because of the situation of him being with multiple teams.
Right, exactly.
Like, I mean, you think of journeyman players, right? Like Robert Ory and what Ray Allen ended up being and Shaq ended up being. And like they started out as great players and they ended up as journeymen. But LeBron has become a journeyman in his prime. And it's just it's a weird situation based on the finances and the salary cap in basketball that he was able to achieve what he was able to achieve. But I mean, he's certainly not a journeyman because that is, that's a slight to his ability, but he really is in a class by himself until you see somebody else do it. Maybe, I mean, Kevin Durant, if he comes back from his injury and he's able to do, if he's able to achieve that, maybe we'll get there. I mean, I don't know how much longer Kevin Durant has,
I'm not sure.
And
I'm not sure he fits the bill just because I think him going to Golden State is kind of like a black mark on his, on his resume because he went to a loaded team that just won 2 titles and he joined them to win, I think, his first one. So I'm not. Kevin Durant's definitely extremely talented. I just don't know, even if he wins with the Nets, and LeBron's a good person. I mean, he's built schools, no off the field, no off the court issues. Stand up guy, stand up man. Like, Michael Jordan had gambling. This guy doesn't have anything. Yeah. Like he's a basketball player.
Yeah,
a gentleman, a scholar.
He's a great philanthropist, absolutely.
And a guy who came out of high school and just did it right from the beginning.
Yeah. If we're gonna do this, and indulge me a second, if we're gonna do cross sports comparison, I would say Derek Jeter. Oh, stop! Don't give me that crap.
This guy.
He's got. I mean, think about it. Look at that. Straight out of high school, good head on his shoulders, constant winner. The only thing Jeter didn't do was go to different
teams. All right, hold on. Jeter doesn't have any MVPs. He's got 1 World Series MVP, but he's never even been the best player on his team ever. He was never the best player on his team. I don't think LeBron and Jeter. I don't think that goes well together at all. But you're entitled to your opinion.
In terms of being a great winner, like you can't.
No, he's definitely.
You can't knock either guy.
Yeah, they were both winners.
And Jeter and LeBron had the same issue. Like if you look at Miami was a ready-built team to win a chip. You had Bosh and you had Wade there, and they all brought it together. And if they could have found a way to put Carmelo and Chris Paul on that team, they would have.
Yeah,
and
They wanted to. And Kyrie's comments, I think it was yesterday, taking a dig at LeBron, saying, "Oh, now it's finally nice to be on a team where I don't have to worry about taking the last shots." It's like, what are you talking about, man? And why would you say that right now?
I think he was talking about the crappy team before LeBron came back.
He said, I just thought it was unnecessary for him to say something like that. And he was like, all teammates, all the teams I've ever been on. He wasn't, specifying 1 or 2 years where he had that problem.
Yeah.
But and then he goes out and throws Nash under the bus and it's like, oh yeah, I don't think, I think coaching is going to be a collaboration this year. It's like, dude, you got kicked out of Boston because you couldn't play on that team. Like you couldn't play, and they were set ready to win championships, and you couldn't play. They had to go and get Kemba Walker to replace you. I mean, you're gonna go and start saying, "Oh yeah, well, we're going to be a collaborative effort," and I'm glad I don't have to take the last shot anymore. It's just like, come on, guy, where are you coming from with all this?
I don't think
March knows what he got into when he picked this guy up.
No, dude's a head case. Absolutely, totally a head case. And honestly, I'm calling it now. Kyrie or Steve Nash, one of them will not finish the year as a Brooklyn
Really?
Net.
Okay.
You know,
write that down. That's a good one.
I'm calling the shot. Write it down. I'm calling the shot right now. Because if Kevin Durant can't get this guy in line, he's just going to drag down the rest of the team. You've seen it in Cleveland. You've seen it in Boston. It's just what he does. If he's not the center of attention, it doesn't matter. And you know what? He's one. They remember what they said about A-Rod. He's a 24-1 player. This guy is a. If they had 24 guys on a roster in basketball, he'd be the ultimate 24-1 guy. And he just really, he doesn't get it. I just don't think he gets it.
He doesn't care, and it's just because people have been, praising him his whole life. He's not. I don't feel like he's humble at all. I even saw some clips about when he was on the USA team, how he was telling Kobe, "I could beat you one-on-one." First time he even met Kobe, he's just like, "Where's your humble juice, man? Like, come on, not even Carmelo and the guys are saying that stuff." But,
no, absolutely not. And you know what? Kobe should have taken that challenge and not let him score a point.
Staying in the East, Doc Rivers signs deal to become a Clippers, the 76ers head coach, 5-year deal. That was pretty quick. I was kind of surprised. A lot of people love Doc Rivers as a coach. I've never really thought of him as a good coach. I think when I think of Doc Rivers, it's a guy who barely won one title with 3 future Hall of Famers. I didn't like how he traded for his son when he was in LA. I think that led to the breakup of Lob City ultimately, because I think Chris Paul did not vibe very well with Austin Rivers. I don't know if he can really fix the Sixers. I don't know if anybody can really fix the Sixers. I think he's a better coach for the Sixers than Mike D'Antoni would have been, because if D'Antoni went there, I think Embiid would have been traded by the deadline. I really do feel that D'Antoni would have done a great job with Simmons. I'm not sure if he would have taught him how to shoot, but he definitely would have instilled that Nash, Harden kind of point guard with him, which would have been really interesting to see. But he's the only coach in NBA history to blow multiple 3-1 leads. To me, maybe Doc should have went to Houston. That might have worked out, but I don't know if Chris Paul would have been happy with that. But or maybe stay out of here. But I don't see this thing in Philly going to work out that well.
No, to me it reads as an unmitigated disaster. The only thing that is working in Doc's favor is that he's not the GM and team president. That falls to Elton Brand. So if they get off to a slow start and if the chemistry issues continue, Elton Brand's going to go before Doc Rivers is going to go. And, it falls on Joel Embiid. It falls on Ben Simmons. They need to get in a room and they need to figure out what the hell they need to do in order to coexist on the floor. Because they're not going to get any help. Nobody's coming to save them. It's up to them. Or
do you think teammates have to get along off the court to have success on the court?
Absolutely not. But you at least have to come to some kind of impasse. You have to come to some kind of compromise about what's going on. I mean, Shaq and Kobe, they had a rough relationship, and they were able to coexist on the court. They were able to coexist on the court because winning mattered more than anything else for those guys. And I'm not sure if that's the case with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. You don't know that. And that's the one thing about the process that, Sam Hinkie didn't exactly, take into account. You're going to get all these number 1 draft picks, but yeah, you amass talent, but that doesn't mean
if given the choice between the 2 stars, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have Embiid or would you rather have Simmons?
I would rather have the point guard. Just
6'10" point guard, but, like him. That comes around once in a lifetime. You're going to get big guys like Embiid, and Embiid's a huge talent. Don't get me wrong, but Ben Simmons. I know people don't like to hear this, but I see Ben Simmons. I think of Magic Johnson. He's not Magic Johnson, but Magic Johnson came into the league. He really couldn't shoot. He had to learn how to shoot, but he was a great distributor of the basketball, and he could really play all 5 positions. Simmons has that chance if given the right coaching and the right tutelage. I don't know if he takes the coaching or not, but I think he can still play. I think there's still a chance for him to be somebody. It's not too late for him. Embiid is who Embiid is. I don't, he's often hurt too, which doesn't help his cause. And he seems to have a problem with Ben Simmons. I haven't heard anybody say Ben Simmons has a problem with Embiid, but I have heard Embiid criticizing Simmons for not being able to shoot or having a problem with his game.
Yeah, it really is a one-sided thing. And the only time you didn't hear about any chemistry issues is when Jimmy Butler was there, oddly enough. The guy who was the chemistry issue in Minnesota. Right? No, Jimmy Butler he would have messed him up. And you know what? Like, that would have been entertaining. Almost as entertaining as Adam Gase.
I liked Jimmy had a press conference today, and they're like, he's like, yeah, we're down, people, yada, yada, yada. We're going to win tonight. All right.
You know what? I love the confidence, and he was the rudder. He was the rudder of that ship. Him and JJ Redick. They had the veteran presence. I couldn't stand him in college, but you know what? As a pro, like, he's fit in well. I mean, he's definitely been able to carve out a nice career for himself, and he was that veteran presence. And they were and also think about it. They were one Kawhi Leonard shot away from advancing.
Well, I think that
who knows
is going to be the benefit to Doc going to the East. It's the East. Now Miami's up and coming. Milwaukee's Milwaukee. There are some teams that are good, but nobody in the East is a world beater. Even Toronto. Toronto is a very well coached team, but they prove they're beatable. The Celtics have proved they're beatable, even though they have so much talent. I don't even know how that happens. But I think Elton Brand did a great job in bringing Doc in and signing him because he's the best coach available. I'm just not sure if that was the right move for Doc. But
I'm getting hungry over here. Should have cooked up some dinner. And if you're looking for a new cooking show to binge, check out As You Eat It on YouTube, hosted by me, Chef Z. I invite you into my home and show you what and how I cook when I'm off the clock as a chef instructor. You're going to learn fun recipes and creative methods to empower and inspire you in the kitchen and take it to the next level. Cook how you want to cook, eat how you want to eat as you eat it. That's As You Eat It, available only on YouTube. AZ, you eat it. Check it out, and let's get cooking.
But switching gears a little bit, baseball playoffs have been awesome. Really excited for the Rays and the Yankees, and I'm really interested to get your take on this series because I know you've got your eye on it. I think the Rays have a chance. Would you think it would be an embarrassment if the Yankees were to lose to the Tampa Bay Rays in this series?
It wouldn't be an embarrassment just because of the simple fact that the Rays are better than the Yankees. And I'm going to say that right now. Like, they're not stars.
And this isn't a cop-out, right? You're not just saying this because you're like, oh, maybe the Rays will win. Like, you honestly and truly believe that the Rays are a better team. Okay.
Absolutely. As a cohesive unit, they are better than the New York Yankees. And you've seen that throughout the course of the year. And even last year, too. A series, a collection of names does not a team make. And, when you have a bullpen that the Rays have and a starting rotation, they don't have they don't have a Garrett Cole, but they have solid guys that give you innings and will get the job done. At the end of the day, like, this is the closest they've been since they got to the World Series in 2009 and 08, excuse me. And this is the most complete team they've had. The Yankees are in trouble especially if they don't hit home runs. And they're in a pitcher-friendly ballpark now. They're going to San Diego. They're going to be in the bubble. It's a bigger ballpark. You're not going to count on those Yankee Stadium wall scrapers at 314. So, you're going to be in a series. The question is, are the Yankees going to live up to the names on their baseball card? And I don't know if they can.
It seemed like Gleyber Torres is really turning things around. He had a really terrible year. I'm going to say it was a really terrible year for how well he played last year, but he seemed to have his bat in the last 2 games he played. And Gary Sanchez didn't have a particularly good year either, but I can see him turning it around.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Sanchez could possibly, be an X factor. DJ LeMahieu's going to be there. You can count on DJ LeMahieu. Batting champ, exactly. Like that guy can just flat out hit. To me, like whatever you get from Gio Urshela is gravy. The guy's more of a defensive player, but he developed his stroke in the Bronx. Good for him. But it boils down to Stanton. It boils down to Judge. It boils down to Voit. All these guys, they're either all or nothing guys.
So you're saying it really comes down to them hitting. So how many runs do you feel like they got to score a game to win?
The Yankees need to score an upwards of 6 runs.
Average 6 runs in
They got to average 6 in the series because you know what? The Rays aren't going lightly, and the Rays can play. They're a complete team, so it's not going to be like a 1-0 hope to God we don't give up a run series. They're going to beat. It's going to be toe to toe. It's going to be a slugfest. They're going to be back and forth, and it's going to be attrition, and that bodes very well for the winner of the A's and the Astros. Another series with really bad blood stemming from the Alex Cintron Ramon Laureano.
Wait, how
fight.
Awesome though would it be? I mean, this purely speculation, but how awesome would it be if the Astros get to face the Dodgers in the World Series and they have to go through the Yankees? How awesome would that be?
That would be amazing.
Major League Baseball wants that to happen.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Game 1 of the World Series, if it's Dodgers Astros, I'm starting Joe Kelly.
Start him. Just get it over with.
I'm starting him.
Go get him, Joe.
Get it out of your system, Joe.
Make him count.
But yeah, I think Major League Baseball would want that, and they would want the Dodgers. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're actively going to try and get this going, and they're actively going to play a role in it. The Dodgers are much better than the Astros on paper, and if this is their year, it has to be the same way it was the year for the Tampa Bay Lightning. This has to be the year for the Dodgers. Talent needs to.
Say what you want about the Astros. The Astros can hit. The Astros can score runs. All right. I don't know. Their pitching isn't as good as it's been in previous years, but those boys can score, and in a neutral site, that looms large.
Yeah, I mean, not having Verlander is definitely
going to Tommy John surgery, man. I think his career is over. I don't think he's coming back from that, man.
I don't know if he should. He's had a hell of a ride, and he's been to multiple World Series. He's got a ring. He won Rookie of the Year. Like he's just, it's some Father Time catches up with us all. And you know what? If this is how it's meant to go out, I'd rather see him go out like this than be a guy pitching, at 50 to 75% of what he used to be, and watching him and thinking about exactly, just like remember what he
just
used
hang
to
out
be.
with Kate Upton on the beach and you'd be straight, man. You got your ring. You're good.
Yeah. Or he'll end up with St. Louis, and him and Adam Wainwright will be like the old men river.
As much as I'd like to see the Astros and the Yankees hook up in the championship and then see the Astros play the Dodgers in the World Series, I have a lot of faith in my Braves this year. I mean, especially now the Cubs are out. They just got to beat the Marlins and they can get into the NLCS. I'm okay with playing the Dodgers in the championship. Very okay with that, and very winnable to me.
I don't know. The Braves, they're like the starting pitching department, man. Like, they can mash with the rest of them, they can mash with the best of them, but not having Soroka and not having not having a good Fulton Nevich, not really having a lot of starting depth is going to bite them in the ass.
Definitely will. I mean, it would be nice to have the pitching. It's actually so surprising. I read something recently where this is like their first playoff series win in almost like 18 years. And to think
Yeah.
they were like going to almost the World Series or playoff bound every year in the 90s and the 2000s. And I don't know what happened.
But yeah, I mean, let's think about that for a second, because you started with the youth movement in the mid 2000s with the Jeff Francoeurs and the Brian McCanns and those guys. And, they were okay. Jeff Francoeur flamed out, ended up with the Mets for a little bit and then kind of bounced around. McCann ended up being a solid player. Marcus Giles was decent
Oh,
for a
remember
while.
that guy.
Yeah. I mean, they had some guys, but they never really were able to reach the level of the mid 90s Braves where you had, Justice and Grissom.
Well, not only
and
that, but those teams were
Klesko.
also built around the pitching staff. I mean, the pitching staff
Yeah.
was ace. They haven't had that kind of pitching staff. Not even close to resembling it. The big gun they
No.
went and got in the offseason this year hasn't even played. Cole Hamels hasn't even played.
That's true. I mean, Cole Hamels, that's a risk you take on an older arm. And the Braves they're guilty of doing that in the past, like bring in Mike Hampton and,
they brought him
like
in for
guys
his hitting,
like
not
that.
for his pitching.
Oh, I heard the school system down there is even better than Denver's. So good, good for Mike Hampton. He did a really good job with that. But, like they brought in their veteran guys, but they were never able to assemble that rotation. And, people don't realize how good the Braves bullpen was for a while there.
Yeah.
You had Wohlers and Stanton and Greg McMichael and all the, studs coming out.
Don't forget
of the
about
bullpen.
John Rocker. He was awesome.
Oh, well, I didn't forget about John Rocker. He's hard to forget. The people on the 7 train still haven't forgotten John
People
Rocker.
on the 7 train haven't forgotten, definitely.
Absolutely not. But yeah, they just were never able to put it all together after having so many years of it all together. But they've done a great job, and it's going to be a heck of a series. But don't count out the Marlins.
No,
yet.
definitely.
I mean, they got
definitely
this far.
not.
You can't.
It's actually looking like Jeter knows what he's doing down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that they've gotten this far. It pains me to give Don Mattingly that credit, but here's my thing, and I just can't get away from it. Imagine if Jose Fernandez was on this team.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. If that didn't happen, and if Jeter had Fernandez when he bought the team, would he have made the decisions he made? Makes you wonder. It really does. Because they were, that team was on the cusp. They had Stanton and Ozuna and Yelich and it's an embarrassment of riches.
They had a good catcher too.
What was his name? Yeah,
I think he's on the Phillies now, right?
Yeah, JT Realmuto. That's right.
Jeez.
They had guys, and they blew it all up. But I mean, clearly, this is their move. This is their model.
Yeah, it works.
They know what they're doing.
It definitely works. It's working for the Rays too, right?
Yeah, I mean, get these guys. Nobody knows them, but
what do you What do you think about the baseball bubble? So they're going to be playing games in Texas and San Diego. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm looking at the results of the NBA and the NHL, and it's worth a shot. It minimizes travel, and it definitely, there's potential there. The home field advantage is gone. And, frankly, it never was going to be there anyway, because, I mean, a lot of that stems from the fans in addition to the dimensions of the ballpark. So the energy of the fans would definitely be there. But to me, that benefits the Rays, because the Rays and the Marlins, because they're used to not playing in front of people. So, that's it. Like, this is just another day for them.
There's no extra seagulls in the stands. I'm a little nervous tonight.
Wait, is that a cutout of Jeter? No, that's actually Jeter. Okay.
I was very impressed in how the NHL had all those. They had over, I think, 39,000 or 40,000 tests, not one positive. That is very impressive.
I mean, that is extremely impressive considering the fact that you had your team together for all those months, and teams are going in, teams are going out. You then moved from Toronto to Edmonton. So
Even
you
in
know
baseball had a breakout in the beginning. They got it under control. Basketball had a couple of breakouts. And now football is dealing with a rather large one. I mean, the start of a large one, I think. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it's going to work for baseball. Because baseball has a different feel to it in October, and when you're playing at home. Just really curious to see if it affects teams in a negative way. Because like I said, I think you're gonna get your best. There's no distractions now. There's an empty ball field. There's a neutral site. I'm really just focusing on playing baseball every day. I don't have my kids. I don't have my wife. I don't have to drive to the stadium. I don't have to think about anything but playing baseball. So you're going to get the best out of everybody. And sometimes you really learn on how good a team really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, winning breeds confidence. So the more they experience this, and the more they win, especially for the teams who haven't been this far before. You know, the Marlins.
Yeah, they got nothing to lose. Marlins have nothing to lose.
They got nothing to lose.
And I don't think Tampa has that mentality. They're not looking at this as we have nothing to lose. They're looking at this as like, we can win this.
Absolutely. And you know what? The way they perform this year, they should be the heavy favorite to come out of the American League. But you look at teams like the A's, you look at teams like the experience of the Astros, the experience of the Yankees. It's not going to be easy. And you know what? It shouldn't be easy because these are supposedly the best of the best. And that's really this should be a great postseason because there's really nobody left that shouldn't be there.
True. I was really
Speaking of teams
surprised
that shouldn't be there.
I was surprised the Twins lost their 18th straight playoff game. I was also a little bit surprised at how Yelich played this year. I don't know if he had a hangover. I don't know if the coronavirus affected him, but I mean, you talk about the shadow of the player he was. He was unrecognizable this year.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Yelich had a bad year, no doubt. Who knows, if it was, things were weighing heavy on him, or the expectations were bigger, or the fact that they figured out a hole in his swing or anything like that. It's probably a multitude of things. It's probably not just one thing, but the Twins are the Twins, and via con Dios, they did exactly what we thought you were going to do. And
they should have got a live chicken.
Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Doug Mankiewicz or Joe Mauer or Joe Nathan or any other guy named Joe who's from Minnesota. It just,
they got that beautiful
you are
field,
what you are, man.
And they're never gonna play playoff games there ever,
unless they somehow have a neutral site World Series. Like, that's really the only way. I mean, they're never gonna play.
They're never gonna play there. Target field.
But you know who got out early, and he's starting to look really good for it? Brad Radke. He got out really early.
Oh man, I forgot about Brad Radke. Wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Such a good pitcher, and he retired young, and he's looking pretty smart for it because the team hasn't done jack.
And, I'm out of here, guys. It's been great. Thanks. See you later.
You aren't gonna do it. I'm done, man. You're not gonna screw my career up. No, absolutely not. Yeah. 18 consecutive playoff losses.
How do you do that? How does that even happen? How do you not win one by accident?
You run into the Yankees.
Buzzsaw.
So that's what happens, Yeah. But the Yankees see them, and they just start licking their chops because they know. They know. We got this. It's a walkover. There's no such thing as a walkover in baseball, but apparently there is. Because
they should change their name to the Minnesota Walkovers.
they're rivaling the Vikings
They
for
had some
mediocrity.
studs on their team
Like,
too, man. They had Gordado, Milton, Koski, Jock Jones. They had some studs back in the day too.
Torrey
Oh,
Hunter.
yeah, I love it.
Like, yeah. Kadire and
Kadire,
Morneau.
yeah.
And, oh my goodness. Like, that team should have done way more than it ever accomplished. And it's really sad, It's the same thing with the A's. The A's they haven't won a series until recently.
Since like
When they beat the White Sox.
1975, it was like their first series win.
Yeah. It's like the last time they won, it was 2006, and they lost to the Tigers. That was the year the Tigers went to the World Series and lost to the Cardinals. But, that was the last time the A's had won a postseason series. Like, what? I mean, it's bully for you. Yeah, exactly. He got a movie. Brad Pitt played him in a movie. Like, what
I believe
the hell?
in what we're doing here. Really? Because nobody else does.
Right. There's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us.
Been that way since you've been here, Billy.
Got some. Oh my goodness. And it's very interesting. The A's, the Tigers, and the Twins are like the perennial placeholders. And speaking of the Tigers, did you hear about this? That they're going to seriously consider AJ Hinch and Alex Cora when they interview for Ron Gardenhire's replacement?
Yeah, bring back that video replay.
Oh my goodness!
Pull the tape up. Let's get some runs tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm AJ Hinch,
record on the road this year, by the way, they won more games on home than they did on the road this year. Coincidence?
I wasn't really paying them. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention. I wasn't listening for the garbage can this year. But with AJ Hinch,
you don't even need a garbage can. Swing, don't swing. You can hear him.
Yeah. Curveball.
How does he know this?
But Alex Cora never showed contrition, and honestly, I think he's got to sit for a little while. He's got to sit and stew. Think about what you did, pal, and at least pretend to apologize, pretend to be sorry. Just fake it. We don't need to. You don't need to really believe it. Just fake it. And
yeah, but you know what? They don't. They don't
faking.
Because they know they're not the only ones that do it. That's why. And I'm completely fine with that. Like somebody rang the alarm on them. Somebody on their own team went to another team and rang the alarm on them. Fires, I believe, did it, and then a bunch of other people started coming out. But I have no doubt that other teams participate in something similar. I think even the Yankees stopped some kind of letter from coming out a couple of months ago about something they were doing years ago.
Yeah,
so
they got busted for an Apple Watch.
I don't really care. That's why he wasn't showing remorse or showing any empathy, because he knows that other people are doing it, and someone just rang the bell on him. And even LaRussa was. They were saying in the 80s he had somebody sitting in the outfield with a camera, blatant, like it wasn't even like they were hiding anything. So I'm indifferent on it.
But for me, it's the optics of it, for the fans, and just kind of just placate them a little bit and at least pretend, because at the end of the day, it's a bad look. You got me, I'll never
quote,
do
unquote.
it again. And then just do it and just keep doing it.
We won't do it again.
It doesn't speak. That's it.
We're going to do it better this
never,
time. We're never going to do it now.
100%. You know what? Technology is the case where they're going to develop a way that, it's going to be better than this one. You're always going to, you're trying to build a better mousetrap.
You got all these competitors. They're all trying to gain an edge on one another. Something is bound to happen. And it's baseball. Baseball is built on stealing and cheating. Spitballs. They're stealing bases. They're stealing signs. That's baseball. It's baseball.
Yeah. No, 100%. But that's the weird thing, because you hear about the guardians of the game who want to speak about the integrity of baseball. Yeah, I get it. But you know what? This is the 101st anniversary. It's been 101 years since the 1919 Black Sox. So you can't really talk about the integrity of the game when you had stuff like that happen. You can't talk about the integrity of the game when you didn't let black people and people of color play until the mid 1940s. You can't talk about the integrity of the game
Sammy
when you
Sosa
have,
corking his
the
back and
shot.
steroids and all this other
Sammy
garbage.
Sosa, yeah. No, yeah, exactly. You can't talk about the integrity of the game with any of this garbage. And even the shot heard around the world. They had a guy with the telescope. Like, I mean, yeah, of course. If I knew what was coming, I would hit it 100%.
Maybe
100%
95%, but yeah, 100.
You know?
We'll round up.
Yeah, well, let's just screw. You know what? Let's just say it. We'll do 100. And but baseball is a weird thing, because you have these self-righteous people talking about integrity when they're trying to find the newest and best way to cheat. 100%. Like, I get it. It's like, it's a complete oxymoron, a complete paradox. But it's, at the end of the day, it's still the game we love.
It's a kid's game.
We'll believe it's up and up. Like, even though we know it's BS, we want to think it's up and up.
It's a great game. But let's the hockey playoffs came to an end. Lightning are the Stanley Cup champions. Got to give them a lot of dap after being swept out of the playoffs. I think last year or 2 years ago, they definitely pulled like a Virginia thing, and they came back and won it all, even though one of their best players was hurt. Maybe you could just talk about that, because I know, we kind of differed on opinions on the Stanley Cup, but Lightning came through.
The Lightning did come through, and you know what? The moment wasn't too big for them. Andrei Vasilevsky played great. Victor Hedman showed up. He won the series MVP. Steven Stamkos was definitely a shot in the arm.
He had a Willis Reed moment, man. It was a Willis Reed moment. Definitely sparked it.
Total Willis Reed moment. Absolutely. And Steven Stamkos was the emotional leader of that team. And you had guys like Yanni Gord and Cedric Paquette, and even Kevin Shattenkirk and McDonough. Shattenkirk.
Tampa Rangers.
But then, exactly. Sergachev and Kucherov. Like, I'm sure, this
Callahan
must have been as cathartic for them. No, they got rid of Callahan because he actually has spinal stenosis, so he's been used as a contract just to move around the league. Yeah, like Ryan Callahan's contract is getting passed around now, but all credit to them. They learned from last year and they used it as fuel. They used it as motivation, and they brought it home. But the Dallas Stars will be back. This is not going to be the end of them. I think they have maybe one more run in them.
They remind me a lot of the Blackhawks when the Blackhawks had all their stars like Taves and the whole team that they had when they were getting to the championship and winning championships.
It's true. And then they have great depth, but at some point depth needs to get paid.
Speaking of getting,
if you want to keep them.
Speaking of getting paid,
and that's what,
New York said goodbye to their goaltender this week. Wonder how you felt about Lundqvist getting bought out.
Farewell to the king. He should have been gone years ago. And you know what? That is going to be a very unpopular opinion.
It's so weird how so many people look at it differently. Like you and I are like, goodbye, good riddance, thanks. But some people cherish him and think he's the best goaltender in Rangers history. I think Richter was better than him.
I would say that Richter has the nod because he won a cup. I mean, in terms of performance, in terms of regular season performance, in terms of flashiness, Henrik Lundqvist is a better goaltender than Mike Richter. But at the end of the day, what have you done for me? And that is, you have not delivered me a cup. Mike Richter delivered me a cup.
I kind of want your take on this. But the thing that I'll remember most about Henrik Lundqvist is how great of a goaltender he was. He was great. No doubt about it. He was great. But there were times that he would let in fairly easy goals. Like stuff that you'd be like, how did you miss that? How did you not stop that? Why are we winning 5-4? Like, that's what I will remember most about Henrik Lundqvist.
Henrik Lundqvist, and he brought me a lot of joy. However, that being said, he was Mr. Softy. Like, unbelievable. Like, just doinking in, deflections, like weird angle goals, and then he drops his head in shame. Well, no kidding, you dropped your head in shame because you should have stopped it. You know what? In the beginning of your career, you were square to the shooter. I don't know what the hell was happening at the end of the year, at the end of his career. I don't know. But, I mean, some of it was an indictment of Alain Vigneault's. Right. I mean, when Torts was there and when Tom Rennie was there was an emphasis made on attention to detail and defense. When Alain Vigneault took over, it became defense optional. Let's try and move the puck up the ice. We became more of a hybrid offensive team because Alain Vigneault does not have a style, and the Philadelphia Flyers fans are figuring that one out, which is why they went from the number one team to out of the playoffs, and that's why the Lightning are raising the Stanley Cup. It's all because of Alain Vigneault, boys and girls. But, I mean, at the end, Girardi was beaten up from all those block shots. Stahl was beat up from all those block shots. And eventually the defense crumbled around him because they stood tall in front of him for all those years. And he just, he didn't do the job ultimately when you needed him to. And, they always brought in a stronger backup, like Kevin Weeks was there, and then Cam Talbot. Marty Biron was there for a little bit. You always had a guy back there who could be a stalwart to rest him for a little bit. And honestly, they should have, kept Cam Talbot because Cam Talbot turned out to be a pretty good goaltender. Antti Ranta has turned out to be a very good goaltender. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Georgiev and Shesterkin because they're so young. And hopefully – like they will blossom under Benoit Allaire and they'll become just as good or better and deliver the cup.
Well, we all know King that Henrik's going to go and win a cup with the Kraken now. We know that's going to happen. That's a given.
Oh,
that's a given.
Absolutely. That the inaugural goaltender in Seattle Kraken history. And, if the Vegas Golden Knights model is anything, like they're in store for
which
a
I
really
think is good. I think
that's
I like the way the NHL does it. I think that's great. Like it encourages people to buy teams and it encourages people to get things started on the right foot. Who wants to suffer for 10, 15 years and not be able to build a fan base or not be able to get guys to come there? I like that idea.
I don't know because you see it work the other way too with a team like the Nashville Predators because they went from nothing. And then they have, we've mentioned it on this podcast, how loyal
through and through, man.
Yeah.
They love their Predators.
How loyal they are.
Town.
Look, the Lightning went from nothing and they have some of the most loyal fans and they're the reigning Stanley Cup champions. So, yeah, both models work. It's clear that both models work, but, this particular model gets you there fast.
Well, we're running out of time, but let's go over our picks for this week's NFL weekend. I crushed it last week. I went 11-5. How did you do?
I did not have a good weekend. Yeah, I was riding high week 2, shot down in week 3. So let's hope this week is better.
Too. I lost some layups because I was trying to be cute. I was trying to be different, but whatever.
No, it's the same thing. I'm trying to. I outsmart
you do that
myself,
too much,
and I'm trying. I'm just gonna. Yeah, no, 100%. Like, let's start with the Bills and the Raiders, for example, because I've been going back and forth on this game all day. It's gonna be a great game. It is a toss-up.
Unfortunately, even though we're in New York, they're probably not going to give us this game. But I got the Bills beating the Raiders because the Raiders are banged up. The Raiders are hurt. Ruggs is out. They have some players that are out, and I think I also think Bill Belichick delivered the blueprint for slowing down their tight end. So I got the Bills winning that game.
I've been going back and forth all day, and honestly, I'm going to take the Bills as well, mostly because I heard about the Josh Jacobs injury, and the Josh Jacobs injury is going to really stifle the
What's he got
Raiders'
going on? A knee?
offense. So I'm taking the Bills.
Nice.
I think he's got a knee or
That's
a
my
hip.
fantasy running back. Great.
So,
looking forward to it. The Bears have a new quarterback. We kind of called that was going to happen. Foles taking over there, and they're taking on the Colts this weekend. Who you got in that matchup?
They ditched Mitch.
Guy have it?
They're going to
win.
win.
Pace still have a job? How's Ryan Pace still have a job?
The Khalil Mack trade.
He must
That's
have
new
pictures of the owner or something like that. That's what I think.
He's got new pictures of Ditka.
So wait, who are you taking that game?
Dark Colts.
Yeah, me too. I got the Bears.
I'm taking the Bears. Right. I mean, the Colts.
This next game was a tough one for me. I'm actually going to take the Bengals over the Jags. I think Joe Burrow gets his first win over Jacksonville.
Well, if they didn't play overtime so poorly last week, he would have won last week. But I'm sticking with the Bengals.
I'm surprised Philly hasn't burned that city down yet. The Flyers losing. Now Joe Burrow comes in and almost beats them. They're lucky he got away with a tie.
Give him time, man. Carson Wentz is going to have to escape that city in the dead of night.
Death threats.
Browns and the Cowboys. This should be an interesting one. I'm taking the Browns over the Cowboys because this is exactly the kind of game that the Browns win.
Yeah, I'm taking the boys. The boys need to win this game. In my opinion, they've looked like shit all year. Pardon my French, but I think they got lucky with Atlanta. They really should be 0-3. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. The Cowboys have not played well, and honestly,
it's just really showing how bad. Now, I'm not going to say bad, but it's just showing the coach that Mike McCarthy is, especially when you see how well Aaron Rodgers is flourishing. There's no excuses in Dallas. You got the talent. You got the players. You're in a trash division. You can't win games outright. You can't beat Atlanta. Everybody's beating Atlanta. I mean, you beat Atlanta, but I'm saying, like, you had to come back in that game. You were losing the whole game.
It's true. And you know what? It's really an indictment of Dak Prescott, too, because he's not as good of a quarterback as people think he is or that he's paid to be. And I don't think he's that good. I mean, he's decent, but there's a reason why he was taken in the 4th round. And, you know, like, you look at a player comp. I mean, Russell Wilson was taken in the 4th round. Look at Russell Wilson compared to Dak Prescott.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm not so down on him as you are. I do think he's good, and I agree with you. Given the choice between the two, I would take Russ, but largely because Russ has been to a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl. But, you know, I think if Dak is on the Legion of Boom, you don't think they still win that Super Bowl?
I mean, it's all possibly, but you don't know. Unfortunately, do they even get that far?
Yeah, I hear you saying.
Yeah, you don't know, but you know, as an NFC East guy and as a Giant fan, I can firmly say, F them.
I'm actually trying to get Russell Wilson's rookie baseball card. I think that would be amazing. But just for clarification, Russell was drafted in the 3rd round. Dak was drafted in the 4th round, but still comparable. Still comparable.
Not first round.
So I'm taking the Saints over the Lions. I was really close to taking the Lions, but I think the Saints will win maybe at the last second or, you know, with some trickery.
It's going to be a close game. You don't have Michael Thomas again, but the Saints got to win this. The Lions are spiraling down the drain, and Matt Patricia might beat Adam Gase to the gate. You know, he might beat them. He might beat Adam Gase out the door, and that's pretty amazing.
I'm surprised at
I'm taking the Saints.
That situation is gone. I thought he would have been better there, honestly.
Well, honestly, I mean, if you look at it, ever since Jim Bob Cooter went from Detroit to the Jets,
you should definitely name your first son Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob Cooter Zinzi. It has to happen.
Exactly.
It has to happen.
I like it.
It can't go
I
any
like
other
it. It's
way.
got a nice
Your
southern
wife has
ring
to agree to
it.
that. I don't care. Put that in the prenuptial agreement. First kid is Jim Bob Cooter Zinzi. That's it.
Yep.
JBCZ.
And I think, the first thing instead of the bubble gum, so that's it. And he's going to get a can of Copenhagen.
All right, an easy game. I got the Seahawks over the Dolphins.
I'm taking the Seahawks too. The Dolphins are going to show some fight, but they're not talented enough to hang with.
Who you got in the Bucks Chargers game? Yeah.
I'm taking the Bucks, even though again the Chargers are gonna, seeing what they did against the Chiefs, you have some hope.
Yeah, I got the Ravens over the Skins. Bucks. If Chase Young was playing, I might have taken the Skins, but I'm going with the Ravens.
They need, after what happened against the Chiefs, the Ravens are gonna be pissed, and when the Ravens are pissed. They destroy teams, and I feel bad for Ron Rivera, and I feel bad for Dwayne Haskins. But you're just on the schedule. You're just the next man up.
Cards over Panthers. Even though I think this is a trap game for the Cards, and they came off a bad loss last week, man, losing to the Lions.
This is a tough game. As as much as the Bills and Raiders was a toss-up, the Cardinals and the Panthers. It's tough, but I'm going to take the Cardinals just on the strength of that defense. It's better than the Panthers defense, but
there will be blood.
There will be points.
We got another toilet bowl this weekend. We got the 0-3 Texans and the 0-3 Vikings. Who you got? Yeah. I'm rolling.
I got the Texans,
too.
man. I'm taking the Texans.
I actually think it'll be a high-scoring game, but I think the Texans come out on top, and the $84 million man will go 0-4. Another layup. I got the Rams over the Giants, and last week I took the 49ers and you took the Giants. I told you they were going to get blown out.
When you lose that many
Mullins just eat you up.
You got it. And they're getting, and speaking, we'll talk about the Niners later, but when you lose that many players, there's absolutely no reason for you to lose that game. But you have a healthy Rams team you have a couple of dinged up players. I think Malcolm Brown and Akers, but Richardson ran the ball well. I have absolutely no reason to believe that the Giants are going to win.
Zero.
And it pains me to say that. I'm being a realist here. Daniel Jones is lucky if Aaron Donald
dies with him in the middle of the field
and carried around like a turkey
I actually
leg.
got the Eagles getting their first win this weekend. I got the Eagles taking out the 49ers. Riding it.
I got the Niners, man. George Kittle's back.
Nick Mullins.
He has really good chemistry with Nick Mullins. And Nick, we got another big Nick. Nick Mullins is playing well, and you know how I feel about.
You want to have his babies?
I think I've been pretty clear about that. So, maybe not.
I was tempted to take the Falcons in this game, but I'm gonna roll with the Packers over the Falcons.
Yeah, there's no shot. The Packers are gonna roll this game. The Falcons.
To me, the game of the week is the Chiefs against the Patriots, and I actually think it's going to be a good game, but Chiefs win by a field goal, maybe even 5.
Interesting. After seeing the blueprint of what the Chargers did and giving Bill Belichick some time, I can see the Pats pull. I mean, is it really an upset?
They are going
you can't really call it an
City.
upset.
I mean, that's not an easy place to play. I know that there's no fans there, but it's not easy to play Kansas City on their turf. Bill has a blueprint for playing against the Chiefs. They're going to run the football. They're going to keep the ball out of Pat's hands. They did that last year. They did that when they faced them in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. So I don't think the Patriots are going to have a problem. I just think that Pat gets the ball with the last possession and puts them in position to either win the game or prevent the Patriots for having a chance to win the game.
True. Okay. I mean, I can see that. Would you say, based on what you saw last week with Lamar Jackson, would you say that Cam Newton is like the more evolved form of Lamar
No,
Jackson?
because I don't
Kind of like
think
a more polished
Cam's
version of Lamar
great.
Jackson?
Cam to me is more of a polished Dante Culpepper, more of a full utility knife, where Dante was a big dude that could really throw the ball downfield. Cam could definitely let it go now with his shoulder healed, and he can take on linebackers. He's bigger than most defensive ends, and he can run the ball. Lamar, to me, is a Michael Vick. He reminds me a whole bunch of Michael Vick. He just seems to be a little bit more accurate, but he doesn't throw the deep ball as well as Michael did. And I also think that
Michael Vick
Lamar
had a
has a better
cannon.
work ethic. I don't know if Michael was taking the sport as seriously as he should have. He had some other things going on the side. But Lamar
we'll put
he
that.
had another business
putting it a
going
little lightly.
but Lamar is he's fast. He can put the ball where he wants to. The only issue with him is people are starting to figure out what he likes and what he doesn't like. So they're gonna have to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be able to play well
absolutely.
When he doesn't have the lead. When he's got to come back, he's struggling with that. So.
Yeah. And honestly, when he plays good teams in the playoffs, like he doesn't really, he doesn't deal with adversity well in that regard. But it's going to be this game is going to be a great game, and the way things are going, it has the potential to be an AFC title game.
To me, this is
who
a
knows,
saving game for Cam because he was one play away from beating Russell Wilson. So if he can go into Arrowhead and beat Pat Mahomes, that is the headline Monday morning, and that would have been the headline Monday morning if he would have beat Russell Wilson. So if he loses, it's like he lost. But if he wins, huge. And the other thing I'll say about Cam is I feel like this is year one in the Patriot system. If he was in year 2, year 3, or year 4, I think they win that game in Seattle, and I think they would be favorites going into Kansas City this weekend. But, he's coming off shoulder surgery, first year in the system, COVID. He's got everything to gain from this season. He's definitely going to get some takers once the season's over, especially if the Patriots don't extend him, which I don't think they will. But I'm interested to see this game. It's the game I'm looking for. I'm going to be doing stuff in the morning and in the afternoon, but I'm going to try to catch this game.
I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I got my popcorn ready, like T.O. said. And this has been the Fade Route with D and Z. Thank you for getting faded with us this week. If you'd like to be a part of the show, questions, comments, if you want to share your picks with us, go to faderoutemail@gmail.com.
So
it's another good one, brother.
Weekend, catch some baseball, and we'll catch up next week.
All right. We'll talk to you next week, and we'll talk to you guys next week, too. Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.